Hello all, I hope you are having a fabulous day. My name is Reggie and today I will be sharing with you a review of I'll Meet You There by Heather Demetrios. There follows our main character, Skylar Evans. Skylar is a recent high school graduate who is living in a very small town in Central California. This takes place over the summer between her graduation from high school and the year before she would start college. And it is just so wonderful. I can't express to you how much I love this book. 5 out of 5 stars. One of my favorite books of the year. The first thing that I absolutely adored about this book was just a couple of personal connections I got with it. The place this book is set is Central California. I've literally never read a book that's set in Central California. I've never read a book that was set where I'm from. The very small town she's from is not where I'm from or real, but I was from a small town in Central California. Heather's descriptions of Central California are so spot on. She discusses how rural it is, how far it is away from other things, how it's not the kind of California people imagine. This is not San Francisco, this is not LA. So the small town vibes and the Central California really sucked me in, but it got so much better than that. If you don't have those connections like I do, which most of you, if not all of you, will not have, that's okay, because this book has so many things going for it. So let me talk a little bit more about the plot. I promise this entire review will be spoiler free, but I think there are some more aspects that are important to talk about. During the summer, Skylar is working at a motel that she has been working at throughout high school, and while working here, she becomes reacquainted with a previous coworker named Josh. Josh is a year or two older than her and went away to join the Marines and fight in a war. Josh has come back as a recent amputee. He lost his leg in combat. And to help fill his time while he's there deciding if he's gonna go back to the Marines, he picks up some hours at that motel. The two become reacquainted and form a bond because Josh is very different than he used to be. He used to have this party boy attitude and was with a lot of girls, but as you can imagine, the war has changed him. There are so many things to love about this book, but my first and most important thing that I love about this book is that Heather Demetrios does not hold back on heavy topics. Within this book, we talk about issues that are so often glossed over, and that's not the case in this book. She doesn't demonize someone because they're suffering from, say, alcohol, substance abuse. She doesn't glorify being a returning veteran. She talks about both sides of everything, and she makes it very level. Some topics that are discussed within this book are alcohol abuse, poverty, PTSD, survivor's guilt, and the effects of war, death and grieving from recent experiences and experiences in the past, growing up too fast for one reason or another. And like I said, Heather treats all of these issues wonderfully. She doesn't glorify them, gloss over them. She tackles each one in stride. She talks about the importance of each topic. We see so much, and it's all dealt with so spectacularly. I loved everything she talked about so much that after I finished this book, I immediately went to Heather Demetrios' website and read her FAQ, read a lot about her, about me, all kinds of things I could find about her. I found out she grew up in Central California, which is how she so perfectly depicted the area, and grew up in a family with a military background, so she knew the importance of the Marines and being a returning veteran. She also did her homework though. She didn't stop there. She went and talked to a lot of people about their experiences in war, and in her author's note, she talks so heavily about the veteran side of it. I personally more connected with Skylar's end of it. Skylar is a super relatable character. That's not to say I didn't like Josh's story, because it was so incredibly important. And I am a person who is so grateful for veterans. The kind of person who will walk up to a person in the supermarket and say thank you for your service, which is something I get from my mom. And there's a scene that actually is basically that, and how Josh feels about that. So it was definitely very interesting to see that story. I'm so grateful for Heather to bring these things to light. And I knew these things. It's not like they weren't things I knew about, but they're not things that are talked about enough. During the course of this story, Skylar is deciding whether or not she feels like she can go to college when the summer is up. She is dealing with her own obstacles, and they're pretty intense, but she has been given a scholarship to study at San Francisco State University. And she is also one of the many who come from a small town that feel like they're being trapped within it and will never escape. And at first she felt like she had escaped, she got that scholarship, and then the events of the summer unfold around her and her relationship with Josh blooms, and she has this fear and terror that she will not actually get out. And it's such a wonderful depiction of the mentality of someone who comes from a small town. Obviously that's not everyone's experience, but I saw that experience. I experienced experience that. I think it's obvious to say that a romance blooms between Skylar and Josh, and it's very wonderful, and it's slow-paced, and it takes the entire course of the book to really come to fruition. But like I said, the more important things to me are the heavy topics that this book deals with. We have kids having to deal with the ramifications of parents' mental illnesses. We have physical and mental disabilities portrayed in this book. It's just chock full of amazing topics. And this is truly a wonderful coming of age story. It tells the story of Josh, who has gone to war and grown up and kind of changed, and how war has changed him and how life has changed him. But it also mainly deals with Skylar's coming of age this summer after high school, where she has to figure out what she wants from her life, who she wants in her life, and how she's going to make that happen. And I think the greatest thing about Skylar is that so many people can relate with her, at least one aspect or another. There's one scene in particular that I really didn't like. It really frustrated and upset me. But the thing about it is that it's not said it's okay. It's not glamorized. We see that character as having a huge mistake. And thus it's this point where you're screaming at this character and you're also seeing the coming of age story progress. And it's not an okay thing. It's not cool, but it happened. And it unfortunately does happen in real life. That in a way, I'm also glad that was dealt with. One other thing I really liked about this book is a character who makes a conscious decision to not partake in drugs or alcohol. Very interesting to see why she doesn't partake in partying, drinking, or alcohol, and how that plays into her interactions with other people. And it's, again, not the focus of the book. It's just a facet of Skylar that we see. Any of these topics or themes could have been the entire concept for a book, but it's not. It's just an important thing about this character or an important aspect that needs to be in this book. So that's all I have for you today. I really hope you go out and read this book. It is one of the best books I've read in so long, and I think a lot of you would really, really enjoy, especially if you enjoy books that deal with hard topics in a very respectful and wonderful way. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you in my next video. Bye!
Have yourself a merry little Christmas.